Take the lead. Walk me through what did you understand from the Ghana case study. Okay. Isha is one.
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. Salik is another. Rohit is another. Okay. These three folks. Okay. Yeah, Raghav, Vivek a little bit late. Okay. Why don't join in? Join in actually. Raghav and Vivek. Join in on the conversation. Okay. Five of you keep yourself unmute and the rest of you can keep yourself muted. Arpit, you join in as well. Okay. Six of you. Isha, Rohit, Vivek, Arpit, Salik, and yeah, where did this go? Abhi bahut late ho gaya, Ansh, bas. Okay, like had to go this thing. The six of you can keep yourself unmuted and walk me through what was your understanding.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Should I?
you can go.
So I
Yeah.
made a Notion doc on the whole thing. Can I share my screen?
No, don't need to
Yeah.
share the. You can send me the Notion doc separately. I just want
Yeah.
to know what were the insights that you got.
All right. So initially, this is just me at the start. First, I wanted to analyze why it failed despite reaching the 100 million user mark, so-called to, the first to be that. So two key points that I found in my research was one, the fact that they were very inconsistent with their pricing models. When they failed to raise funding, they were like, oh, we'll go to paid only. Then they lost their customers, and 1 month later, they're like, oh, now, we'll go back to our old freemium model. So that inconsistency cost them a lot. Second thing that I realized was that they were overbundling subscriptions. They gave away a lot of 3-month free subscriptions to people. And because the amount that this was available in was so easy to find, pretty much nobody paid for the actual subscription because you could get a free Ghana subscription with anything and everything. So that basically people never had to pay and they didn't really get much of an income and they were losing a lot of money. So these were the 2 points that I came across. Now, based on that, since the assignment was to remedy the pricing strategy essentially, I came across two main sectors for pricing strategy. One was obviously competitor-based pricing, because some factors they really needed to adopt from their competitors. So I wanted them to do like a tiered pricing model like Netflix or anything else and sort of undercut market rate. That is something they can do instead of just having one which is just like free and then pro. They don't have anything in the middle. Second, I was thinking of discounted first month subscriptions and then kind of increasing the price slowly instead of just directly going from free to 499 because of softening the psychological barrier. Then, retention offers.
Got it, Isha. I'll
Yeah.
move to someone else now. Rohit,
Right,
go
sir.
ahead.
Anything
Different to add on top of what Isha said, by the way?
Yeah. So what I discovered, if I have to compare Ghana and Spotify, at least at their peak, Ghana had about at their peak 6 to 7% of their users paid for their subscription. Spotify right now averages around 36-37%. So that's like a gap of 30% of paid users out of their base. Now, what did Spotify achieve in India? They have a huge base. How did they do it? By offering 1 day listening, 7 day listening. Ghana.com didn't push that at all. Second, the UI was shit. The UI had ads playing between the music, because most of the earnings were coming through ad. In one song, you could listen to 2 ads. In Spotify, it's generally after 2 songs, you listen to an ad. So
Okay.
even the stickiness of the platform wasn't there for a person to stick to. Like if I was there and for a regional music, because they were targeting regional music a lot, for that low paying customer, because that's not a high paying customer according to me, I would give them 30 minutes free listening without ads. Not like after 30 minutes, they can have a discounted 7 day subscription. If they like that, go ahead and then leverage onto 30-90 and like going from there.
Got it. Fair enough. Salik, why don't you go next actually? I want to listen.
Yeah, so the first problem with Ghana.com was their business model. So initially they were monetizing on ads, and that is fundamentally against the user's value prop, because they were trying to overload apps when the music listening went up, and that was frustrating the core value to which the Ghana.com was used. So flawed business model, and we need to note that people are telling about this. They should have changed the subscription at that time. It's during 2015 when the subscription was just kicking off in India. So what I would have done as a remedy for their business model would have been should have been a premium subscription, small premium subscription bundled across the premium telecom providers like BSNL, MTM during that time, which didn't have an in-house streaming category. You should have had tied up a partnership with them uh, as the first remedy. And the second problem was their algorithm. Spotify came with a very personalized algorithm on suggesting playlist and very personalized suggestion of playlist, but Ghana.com was really lacking in that. Along
Got it.
with that,
Got it.
yeah.
Got it. Fair enough. We'll go one more person next. Whoever wants to.
Can
Raghav,
I go?
Yeah, Raghav,
Yeah,
go.
so the majority of their audience for Ghana was the audience in tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities. So
How do you
what
know?
happened here?
How do you
I
know?
read it. I read it in an article.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So what happened, what I assume is that these people had a lower willingness to pay. So these people were fine with ads playing between their music and nobody really was buying their subscriptions. So that reduced the revenue for them because they could not really monetize their subscription model. And currently, if I check out their plans, what they are doing is they are offering start with rupee one first month kind of a plan where you pay a rupee and you get 1 month of access to their music. And also, they're undercutting Spotify currently by half the price for their 1 year plan. So, what that signals to me is that they're focusing more on user acquisition right now, thus getting more and more people to somehow subscribe or commit to their app rather than a lot of revenue generation. So, I would suggest a pricing model that is somewhat like a referral, wherein if you if you get on more users from your side, or if somehow you lead to more Ghana accounts, it will keep on getting cheaper for you.
What will keep getting cheaper for you?
Like it's a user-based pricing, but suppose there's a single account plan, right? If I were to sign up single account plan, I'm adding duo plan. So whenever I apply for the duo plan, it will become cheaper per user. Perfect.
Okay. So
Yeah,
similar to
something like
what
that.
YouTube does for the family plan.
I'm not aware what YouTube does for the family plan,
Okay.
but it gets cheaper the more people
Okay,
you
fair
bring
enough.
on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else has anything different to add to this?
I want to tell one thing.
Arpit, go ahead.
Yeah.
Last person, 60 seconds. Yours.
So I just wanted to tell how it failed, how the operation got shut down. So the majority of the investment was coming from China, from Tencent. So they invested around $115 million dollars in Ghana. But in 2023, because of the geopolitical tension between India and China, it escalated and Tencent withdrew from the Indian markets. So that cut off Ghana from the crucial funding. So that is a failure to the long-term security also of the funding. So its operations got shut down.
That's another fact about them. Okay. We're good. We're good till this part.
I think I'd like to add one more point here.
Last point.
ठीक है, right? I think they're solely focusing on building an audience for India, right? And they're largely focusing on Indian artists, right? Wherein people also wanted global artists. When they somehow went to Spotify and explored that, right? They had that opportunity, right, to listen to the global artists as well. That's fun.
Okay, what do you learn from that actually? There's
As
something
in,
there.
what I learned from that as in?
What do you learn from that? That they didn't have the deepest, let's say in this particular case, if we say they didn't have the deepest distribution ties, okay? Have connects with global music studios. They couldn't license.
They should have understood the customer preference.
Elaborate.
As in, they should have done surveys, right, or something.
Okay, so
in order to understand what
I think they could also have
Yeah.
offered regional music packs, considering a lot of their audience was in tier 2, tier 3 cities that really aren't listening to global music, and Ghana doesn't need to provide them the entire, global Western music culture because nobody's really interested in it. So if we're targeting, especially middle-aged parents, whatever, you could sell it at a much lower cost.
Got it.
I think that would be
Guliani next. Do you want to add something?
Okay. So I remember like few years back, I got whenever you buy some product, I don't remember the product. Ghana was giving their free subscription for that.
Yeah.
But after a point of time when Airtel Music came in, whenever you recharge a package for Airtel and you could directly use their Airtel Music, and that's when I started converting from Ghana to Airtel. I feel most people might have did the same.
Yep. Cool. So like, of course, Airtel Wink acquisition by Airtel was one of the reasons. Jio had their own music arm. We also, I think, had an app, if I'm not wrong. Maybe not, maybe in that particular case. Spotify came in, so many things happened. The reason this case study is placed at this point, at this junction, right at the end of class one, is exactly for this. Okay. I asked you to solve a pricing problem. Okay. Every one of you went everywhere else other than pricing, okay, to solve the actual problem, because the case study by itself is flawed. Okay. The case study is deliberately placed at the end of assignment one. Okay. You are not expected to solve a pricing challenge before you go and understand. And some people were eventually going in that direction, which was understanding the customer profile. Okay. The reason Spotify came in and ended up eating their market share was because there was a significant overlap between the customer profile that a Ghana was serving and what a Spotify intended to serve. The moment you have deeper distribution, you are automatically going to be able to poach someone. Features पे नहीं जाएंगे अभी, ठीक है? Features छोड़ दो. Features are replicable, okay? Whether they had, too many ads, okay, or certain factors that could be controlled. The fundamental flaw with Ghana, okay, which you need to focus on, and keep this insight in mind as we go over the next couple of sessions, because it should start to make more sense. Every time we end a session, think that if you've learned something new which you can apply to the Ghana case study. Session 2 perhaps is not going to be that. Session 2, we're talking about more metrics related things. But pricing is a challenge that you come to solve. I saw your question, Raghav. I'll come to it. Okay. Pricing is a challenge that you solve only and only after you understand who's your customer profile. Okay. Ghana was inherently one of the go-to apps for a lot of college students. Okay. College students, I'm saying, not just across tier 2, tier 3 cities, but like in tier 1 cities as well. Okay. Spotify, when they came in India, okay, and while they were figuring out the market, they ended up making a better pricing model, specifically focused on students. During your competition research, did you see that section on Spotify's pricing? Okay, where if you're a student, you get exclusive discounts. Okay, that was something that they'd done all the way back. This was one of the core pricing changes, okay, that ended up costing Ghana the most. Okay, it was Spotify's understanding that Ghana's ICP, we mean is ideal customer profile, is this college going student. Okay. I also, by the way, was not very much familiar with how successful Ghana was. I was never a Ghana user. It was only during the research that I unfolded. But the challenge of pricing comes after the fact that you've understood. Everybody was like core value proposition. A core value proposition before the core value proposition is an understanding of which customer are we solving for. Today, if you have to design a better pricing model, you need to first go and figure out which customer profile am I best intended to service. Okay. Is it that tier 2, tier 3 consumer that somebody was talking about who's interested in regional music? Okay. Am I going back to that college student today in this cluttered market and thinking that over Airtel Wink, over Spotify, over YouTube Music, over all the alternatives that they'll have, they'll take me? And if they'll take me, why will they take me? Okay. If the leverage is just pricing, then there is always going to be there someone to undercut you. Okay. And if there is no one, there's always going to be Geo. Okay. They will price you out of the market. Okay. That's what they do. So always and always, whenever you see these pricing level cases, this thing, and you will find yourselves in a position. Okay. The reason it's placed over here is this is a consumer app. When I see SaaS businesses price themselves, they look at the competition, they look at all of that. Look at your customer profile first. Okay. This is more relevant from a go-to-market perspective, but keep this Ghana thought aligned. Okay. Keep coming back to it and understanding, okay, what is it that we can apply? Ghana had an inadequate understanding of their customer profile. Pricing was a problem that came in later. Okay. Who do you go back? Today, if I ask you pricing change, change the pricing, this thing, always go and ask, who is it that I'm intending to service and what is it that I understand about them? Do I have some insights into their consumption that can actually allow me to make a better pricing model? Okay. And something that has stickiness, something that has retention. Okay. That is a core goal. By the way, by deeper distribution, what I was meaning was deeper distribution from your ability in terms of the amount of songs that you have on the platform. Okay. If I don't know if you guys know this, Z Music Studios had a dispute with Spotify. So there was a brief period about 6 months ago or 9 months ago where Z Music's all content, okay, all of their songs were not available on Spotify. That hurt Spotify big time. You saw a lot of migration from people from Spotify to YouTube Music at the same time, okay, because that was the one time you couldn't access all of Z Music Studios content, okay, on Spotify. That is distribution. Distribution in terms of the library of content that you have, the amount of licenses that you've attained to different studio rights, to different music rights from different studios as well. Okay. India, you obviously need Indian music, as somebody was pointing out. The modern Indian consumer, somebody who is 24, anywhere between 21 to 30 or 35, which Spotify services, doesn't just listen to Indian music. Okay. Yes, we've got Arijit Singh fanboys. Okay. But there are a lot more users out there who listen to beyond Arijit Singh as well. Okay. You want to be able to listen to very specific type of artists as well. It's all rooted in customer profile. Okay. Keep that customer profile inside always in mind. Yes, Isha.
So I had a question because you said that let's say Ghana understands that the ICP it wants to target is college students. And a lot of other apps in the market also have that ICP as the same. And you said pricing won't make a difference because anybody can undercut. So let's say Ghana wants to reintroduce that. So how would they kind of go about doing that if without
I would go
differentiating in
specific.
terms of
I would go specific. I would go specific and not just define it at a college student's level. Okay.
okay.
I would go deeper and try to go for a more specific ICP. Okay. If I'm going after a broader ICP, okay, and I don't have the best product, okay, pricing is not something that can solve for me. Okay. It's as simple as that. Okay. You need to be, the more specific you go in terms of your ICP, the better you will be able to understand that what is my core product hook. Like somebody was talking about tier 2, tier 3 consumers. Okay. If that is where I have the edge, then that's what I want to double down on. Okay. Whoever you're servicing, okay, at the end of the day, understand price undercutting can only help you. We talked about this in the last session as well, right?
Yeah.
When it's a really, really crowded market and there's not much difference between the product, that's where the pricing wars start. Okay, because everybody's giving a similar kind of experience. Okay, you know you're gonna get the same thing on Zendesk and you're gonna get the same service on Freshdesk.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why they're constantly looking out for each other's pricing. But this is not the case here. Okay, Spotify is miles and miles better from an experience standpoint. At this point of time, I'm just paying them for free for subscription. Okay, there were other challenges for them as well. A lot of people pointed out, funding related challenges. Subscriptions are easier in India now because you have autopay on UPI. Okay, until you didn't have that, RBI ने मार रखी थी. RBI had made it a mess to run a subscription business successfully in India. Okay, today it's still relatively easy on the back of auto mandate on UPI. Okay, not so much earlier. Okay, you still needed to validate certain transactions even if you had on your credit card as well. Okay, so there were other challenges as well. I won't go over there. Purely from a pricing standpoint, pricing is half the solution here. Okay, pricing is not even a solution here. Okay, it's not going to do anything. Go back to customer profile. I'm going to keep drilling that again and again.
No, so you find the customer profile, the very specific customer profile where your specific value proposition has an edge.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But what if your product is doing the exact same thing as, I mean, they're all music apps, they all have the basic set of basic features, right? And so how essentially, in like a case
So in
like
that
this,
in that case, if that is such the case, let's say if Spotify and Ghana had the same amount of music, okay, they have same number of songs, same kind of this thing, all equal distribution. That's where somebody was talking about the differentiation that's going to come in is from a product experience standpoint. Spotify has an algorithm. Okay, you will need to still find some level of defensibility within your solution. We will talk about moats in Saturday's session, what we call business moats. Okay, and how do you really use that to your advantage? Remember this thought then. Spotify's moat is not just so Spotify's defense or what makes them a better product is not just the fact that they have the widest library of songs. It's also, like somebody was pointing out very, very well, was their recommendation algorithm. Okay, so if you feel like that you're playing on an even surface, let's say we're talking about a SaaS business as well. Okay, if fundamentally you believe that the solution that you're delivering is not very, very different, you still have to find ways to be able to make sure at a customer experience level, at a pure service level, how do you build a better relationship with your clients?
It would be Ghana's mode. That is the thing, right? Spotify, maybe, we can figure something out based on whatever but Ghana, that's what I'm saying, because it is everything.
It has to, for me, fundamentally, if I was in Ghana's shoes, if I was solving this problem for them, I would always and always go back and say, you know what, there's an endless amount of music out there. Can I go and make sure that there is going to be a white space from where Spotify is not going to be able to service? Because you can't have everything under the sun being available on your platform. Is there a white space that's there? Okay. If there is no white space, if there's 100% overlap from a songs and an audio standpoint, I would then go and try to understand if there are some consumer insights I can spot about Spotify and something that pisses people off, and try to incorporate it within the product experience. That's the only thing that I can do. Okay. Maybe people can come in and tell me, you know what, I'm facing XYZ issues. Like, okay, so I'll give you an example. YouTube's algorithm is shit. Okay. The only reason I ended up shifting from YouTube music to Spotify some 4-5 years ago was because YouTube doesn't hate discoverability. So if I'm in a sad mood, okay, the same 5 songs that I listen to, YouTube will keep me going on and on and on and on. It never gets me out of that loop. Okay. Spotify's algorithm actually gets me out of that loop. Okay. Someone, if they would have talked to me 5 years ago, I would have given them very, very specific feedback that YouTube's algorithm has a very strong, what we call recency bias. Okay. Whatever they specifically understand about the last 2 or 3 sessions of interaction with you is what is going to fundamentally guide whatever they recommend to you. Okay. That is very, very flawed. Okay. Maybe I'm trying to escape a mood. Maybe I was just going through an emotional mood. Okay. I want to get out of it. That was the problem with them. But I'm just saying, like, it has to come down to your library of songs. Okay. Or the fact that from a product experience standpoint, maybe your ICP that we were talking about is having some expectation from features that a Spotify cannot service.
Makes sense.
We will get to this point, and for you, what you're asking this thing with an example of horizontal SaaS versus vertical SaaS. Okay. Wait 15 minutes. I'll come back and ask you this question.
Okay.
Cool.
Yes.
Perfect. So last time what we talked about was pricing models and pricing strategies. Okay. What is the difference between those two? There was just a slight difference from a pricing standpoint that we weren't able to cover last time. Okay. Which is a very specific subsegment, which is psychological pricing. Okay. And what this concept basically does is, how do you play on consumer behavior and sort of cognitive biases that people have to be able to end up, assisting them into maybe purchasing your product in the first place or purchasing a higher tier when it comes to your product. So what sort of psychological tactics can you apply as a SaaS business, okay, to be able to make sure that more and more customers are opting for you? One pricing in psychological pricing, which is a very, very common example that you would have seen as well, it's called charm pricing. Okay. It's a classic case. You've seen this your entire life, something priced at $99, okay, or $999. Okay. Like I've given an example of Spotify only here, okay, which is priced at $999 per month. Okay. It's a very, very specific play on trying to make sure that it's just below a round number so that it gives the illusion that, oh, there is some sort of discount that I'm getting as a customer. Something that we do specifically, okay, in SaaS, and this is a very, very common tactic, it's called price anchoring. Okay. What we do with price anchoring is we try to make sure that the higher price plan, okay, is shown very, very specifically next to the lower price plan to be able to make sure that people feel like the lower one actually is decent value. Okay. HubSpot actually does this very, very well. What HubSpot does is it has 3 plans, okay, and they will highlight the most expensive plan first. By making sure that the most expensive plan is coming in first, you automatically feel like the middle plan is better for me, okay, because all of a sudden it doesn't seem that expensive, okay, simply because your first exposure was to a plan which was the most expensive on the platform. Okay. So price anchoring, these are very, very specific subtle nuances that you will notice on most SaaS companies' website. Okay. How they're trying to lead you. This is also something that they would try to incorporate from a pitch standpoint. Okay. When you're pitching your product to a company, you would maybe want to tell them, hey, you know what, we have an enterprise plan which is at $999. But a professional plan, I believe, would be a much better fit. It's actually $199 per month. Okay. So you end up saving about $800. All of a sudden, what you've done is somebody who wasn't even thinking about spending $999, you've given them the illusion that they're saving $800, okay, per month on a transaction, okay, by simply leading the conversation, anchoring the conversation from the standpoint of the most expensive plan. Okay. So price anchoring is done not just at a digital level, it's done at an offline sales pitch level as well. Okay. Decoy pricing is another piece that I find the most interesting. I don't know if you guys know about the Economist example that's there on the screen. They had 2 products at Economist. Okay. They had a print version and they had a web version as well. And what they would end up doing was that the print version was like web version was about $59 and print and web was priced at some $125. And they would see that most people would end up opting for an online version only. Okay. What they ended up doing was launching a print only pricing plan at $125. Okay. So print was $125, online was $59, Print plus online was 125, which is the same price as printing. Okay. What do you think ended up happening?
People would choose automatically. They're not having to pay anything additionally for the online plan that way, so they'd automatically go for one.
So people who
In
were
most
originally also opting for an online plan, let's say somebody who was planning to spend $59, all of a sudden felt like, yeah, print is 125, online is 59, but I'm getting both at 125 only. Okay. So might as well end up opting for it. Okay. This actually allowed them to get a 30% improvement on their revenue. Okay. Just a very, very slight decoy pricing strategy. Okay. It's where you're giving someone an illusion of value that, see, this is so much better. It didn't end up increasing their costs in any way, shape, or form. Okay. It actually allowed for better customer engagement as well. At the same time, more revenue for them. Okay. Somebody send something on chat. Any simpler examples for decoy pricing? Yeah, man, I would give you an even better example. Theater गए हो कभी? Coke खरीदे theater में? Have you bought anything, any popcorn or any soda beverage, this thing in a theater? That's all designed for decoy pricing. Okay, that is what it's supposed to do. It is supposed to lure you in a manner wherein, of course, the combo makes so much sense. Okay, because a combo is priced at $4.99 and individually the drink is at $3.99. Okay, and the popcorn is separately at $3.99. Okay, it's specifically designed to make sure that it ends up acting as a decoy in that particular case. Okay, the middle plan. So that's essentially the idea. Decoy pricing has a lot more examples. This is a SaaS reference, but if you go around and see consumer businesses as well, it's a very, very common expectation wherein I would bundle and try to use bundling as a way of being able to end up getting you to buy more products than you were originally planning to buy. Okay, so that is decoy. This is a very, very classic case. This is not very, very different from what we talked about in price anchoring as well. Okay, which is that some companies understand that if I highlight the most expensive plan first, people can get thrown away. So they naturally end up, they naturally end up designing your attention in such a manner where the middle plan is on focus. Okay, so MailChimp does that. Okay, where HubSpot takes precedence by highlighting the most expensive plan first. Some people understand that if you have a tiered pricing, what you can do is psychologically get someone to automatically, which they're going to look at, which is in the middle, and highlighting the middle plan only, which you also know is going to be the perfect balance for you from a business standpoint. Okay, so it's a constant gamble that you have to make. Okay, when you are a business like, let's say, HubSpot, you understand that most people might end up opting for the smaller plan as well. Okay, because it's a complicated product, so people just want to first try it out and see how is it working for their business. For MailChimp, which understands that it's not a very, very complicated product, you don't want people to sign up for the first plan. Okay, the cheapest plan. So it automatically tries to structure their pricing page in such a manner where the middle plan is the focus, the middle plan is the best thing for you. If you're someone who was going to buy premium, you would automatically end up buying the most expensive plan. But if you were someone who was thinking between 1 and 2, just the sheer amount of focus that they make on the second plan is what gets you to be like, oh, this is something that actually works better for me. These are very subtle examples, okay, like that you would see. This is, I think, a very common phenomenon. Actually, before I go to the next slide, do you guys know what is social proof? Have you heard this term before? What is social proof? Okay, Vasu shaking your head. Explain to everyone in the room, what is social proof? Don't look at it from a pricing standpoint, just explain fundamental level.
I think social proof could be, right, let's say if you're, even targeting influencers, right, or partnering with them, right, if your favorite actor is using something, right, and then you certainly tend to buy that. That's a social proof.
Yeah. How do you think companies do it on their website?
How do companies do their website?
Yeah.
But just a big example, right? They can probably put up smiling faces. Let's say there was a Policy Bazaar ad, right, a while back, which was there in discussions, जहाँ पे they were selling term insurance, right? और थोड़ा सा vague ad था वो, जहाँ पे a woman was crying, right, seeing her husband, right, who just passed away a while back, उसने term insurance नहीं लिया था.
Yeah.
I think that's also social selling.
That's not social proof. That's not correct. So you were initially
No?
right. You went in an off direction.
Okay.
Actually, I want Agampreet to speak. Agampreet, can you switch on your video and help me understand what is social proof?
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi. We are talking about social proof.
Yes.
I'm little lost.
Okay, cool. Don't switch off your camera then. Okay, because I saw you were looking a bit distracted before as well, before you switched off your camera. Don't switch off your camera. Focus on the screen. Okay. I'll go to one person. Tanish was the first one who raised his hand. Tanish, why don't you go and explain everyone what is social proof?
Yeah, through an example, I like last week I was this week I was in Bangalore, right? So Zoho has a lot of their banners and everything there, and in those banners you can see people who are directors, product heads, or some sort of a position holder at some good big organization, which is validating that if this guy can buy it and trust it, then maybe you can also for your small business.
Cool.
So
That's a fair example. So social proof can extend in multiple ways. Okay. When you go on an e-commerce website and you see that nudge that comes at the bottom, somebody in Indore, India just bought this. Okay, just bought XYZ product. That's a social proof. Okay. What I'm trying to do is signal to you that hey, I'm an active website. It's a website that sees a lot of transactions. Any subtle cues that you can make to validate the fact that this is an acceptable active product, okay, that is being used by many people, that can help me lend some form of credibility, okay, that can serve as a proof for the fact that this is a credible website. Testimonials are an example, but testimonials are an outdated piece where, you know, if you're just putting static testimonials on a website with some random names, not even images, that doesn't serve as a point of reference today. Okay, that is not enough. Social proof also comes in from a place of how SaaS companies specifically talk about, specifically talk about an XYZ CXO of a certain company endorsing them. Okay, or talking about how good their product is. What these are all examples. What I like, I think one simple piece that, let's say, a very small nudge that Shopify does is on its platform, next to its basic plan, it talks about how 1.75 million businesses are using it. Okay, there's obviously no way to validate it, but what it does is just lends a little bit of trust that okay, it's a sizable number of businesses out there who've subscribed to this particular plan itself. Clearly there is enough value that there must be there, okay, with this particular plan, okay, for someone to sort of just get that little bit of nudge.
Is it similar to what Hive School is also doing nowadays, right? When say been to Shark Tank.
Okay, how? Yeah, that wouldn't apply to social proof. That wouldn't apply to social proof.
I think that's on the website now. Pura logo, I think.
Yeah, but so the use on the website, this thing specifically be able to just borrow some credibility. Yes, that would be a perfect example of social proof. Okay. Like another example would be if I had to use a Shark Tank reference for high school, it is to go on the offline program. If there's a page that shows the pricing for offline and online, and then offline ke niche, they just put a line as recommended by Aman Gupta on Shark Tank. Okay, like that would serve as a great form of social proof. Okay, just to be able to validate and lend credibility to something. Okay,
makes sense.
So social proof pricing, then there's, this is a very basic concept. So I'm not going to go into detail. You can check it out. Time limited discounts, creating some form of urgency. There are a couple of SaaS businesses that are always on sale. Okay, so I've stopped giving any form of attention. If you overuse time limited discounts, people also lose attention. There's a beautiful article that's there on Ken. It came out about, I think, 1.5 years ago on Myntra. Myntra some 8 years ago was on sale like some 3 or 4 times a year. Now they're on sale on average 12 to 13 times a year. Okay, so people have just stopped caring about a Myntra sale because for some reason Myntra is always on sale. Okay, so you don't get that sense of urgency that, oh, I need to buy. If it's not there, I'll buy it next month. Okay, it's what you end up overdoing with discounting and creating that form of urgency. If it's not exclusive, if it's not limited, if you end up overdoing it, people end up losing some, like, all forms of sense on whether there is enough value. Also, what it does is, at a psychological level, why time limited discounts are important is if you're on discount a lot of times, customers start to feel that in general you're overcharging them. Okay, if it's a $99 price plan which is on discount, let's say for $69 for 6 months out of the 12 months of the year. Okay, and if I'm the one who's paying $99, I'm going to be like, okay, you guys can clearly afford to charge $69. You're just overcharging me. Okay, because you end up pricing it at $69 for 6 months of the year. Okay, that's why you have to use time limited discounts very well. You guys know Black Friday sales, Cyber Monday sales. Cyber Monday is more applicable for SaaS businesses. Okay, that's where you have to use those, like, SaaS businesses end up using those kind of time limited discounts and creating urgency during what we see as a Cyber Monday sale.